Hey y'all, CB here, NBS Welding. Rolling in the super service truck this morning. My buddy that's got that log grapple I've been working on here and there, he's also got a sawmill up there in the country that has he's gotten a hold of me because his sawmill, he said, has a broken cast iron part. Said one of his guys tried to weld on it years ago, and he wants it. He wants me to work on it. So we're headed up there to see what we can do with that thing this morning. Feeling good this morning. You know, it's cold, but I'm realizing spring's coming. You know, morels be popping up before long. Feeling good this morning, y'all. Thinking of the glory days, you know. Early this morning I got in the truck, and I don't know why, I happened to think back in the days welding for the drilling industry, mornings like this, racing up I-79 with a convoy of welding trucks, all of us yakking back and forth on CB radios, watching for the cops, you know, running down the road in these damn welding trucks going 100 miles an hour. One of my buddies, we called him Ricky Bobby. Oh, he had a 6.4 Ford he built. That was one of the worst turbo diesels Ford had. But he was rigged up full rig welding truck like these guys do, with a heavy bed and a turbo diesel and a full 4-door cab. Hell, that truck of his weighed, I bet it was 16K. I was running the old, that's when I was running the old brick nose dually with that 460 big block in it, C6 automatic. But I was rigged up on a, I wish I had pictures of the bed I built for that truck, because it was a poor boy special. I took the factory Ford bed and a bunch of cutting wheels, and I cut right into that factory Ford bed and bought underbed toolboxes from Tractor Supply and slid them into the sides of that factory bed and welded them in there. That thing was feather light. I was running with my Trailblazer 302 and all my welding gear in that truck. I was running down the road at 7,800 pounds. So, you know, the old big block didn't have nowhere near the power of the turbo diesels, you know, that my buddies were running. But at 7,800 pounds, I'm telling you what, y'all, that old big block could lay a strap now. Anywho, we got to stop and get fuel. We're headed up in the country, gonna do some welding on some cast iron today probably. And come on, let's do it. Super service truck at the sawmill. So I've been told this is a Meadows sawmill. He had a roof over the whole thing that he had built, and this recent windstorm took the roof and ripped it off and throwed it down the bottom of the holler for him. So that's going to have to be redone. And when that happened, a part of the roof may have hit this broken piece. We don't know. We just know it's broke, and it's been broke before. Been broke before and been welded, and I can see from the finish of the weld that it was welded with cast rods, which are nickel. They're very expensive, and they're what you need for cast iron. This has been welded on over here with nickel rod. This is not broke, but this is, and I probably only got enough nickel rod with me to fix right here where it's broke. We were talking about what to do to make this any better, You could put a piece of mild steel on the outside of this, and we may end up doing that later. I think we probably will, because he doesn't want to have any more trouble with it. But as for right now, we need to get this fixed. Now, I done a video when I was working on a very old John Deere tractor quite a while ago, and I explained what I do when I run into a piece of something that's obviously cast like this. It's either going to be cast iron or cast steel. And you need to find out if it's cast iron or cast steel, because if it's cast iron and you want to arc weld it, you need to arc weld it with a nickel rod. But those are about $40 a pound. If it's cast steel, you can weld it with a 7018. A low hydrogen rod will work just fine. And that's going to cost you less than $4 a pound. With that much of a difference, you really need to find out if it's cast iron or cast steel. If money was no object and you didn't want to worry about it, you know, you could weld anything that was cast with a nickel rod and you'd be fine. I'm not going to use a $40 a pound welding rod where a $4 a pound welding rod will work. So what you're going to want to do is find out if it's cast iron or cast steel. And the way I do that is I try to cut it with an oxyacetylene torch. If an oxygen and acetylene torch will cut it, and it cuts like steel does, it's cast steel. If you heat it up to cut it with your oxyacetylene torch and it just barely melts and it just kind of pops back at you, it's cast iron. So I've already done that here, and I'll show you the little spot where I did it. See, instead of that piercing through and cutting, it blew back. So it's cast iron, and we're gonna be working on this with the nickel rod. So the two big cracks in it, I grinded those out and I welded them with the 99 nickel rod. I only have one pack of them rods, and I've used them all up except for one rod. And I think structurally this is fixed, but I'm going to show you where I got a problem. Right there. Where this was broke was over here. Where this hole's drilled right here, this is forming a crack. That's that cast pulling away from that other piece. And that can happen to you. And if you look at the shape of this thing from up underneath, that's a where that's cracking is it's not a place that's going to go any farther than hitting that hole. The other side of this goes right up into this, where that crack's not going to continue. This crack right here, if you leave it alone, would probably go to that hole and stop, and that's going to be it. I don't think it's a big deal, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to grind it out a little bit, and I'm going to go into it with the oxyacetylene and some flux coated bronze rod, because even if I don't think that that's a structural thing, I don't want to leave it like that if I can help it. So let's try to do something about it. Got rid of that little crack with that bronze rod, and I put a pile of bronze rod on the inside of here, which I wish I could have got that cleaner, but none of my tools will get in there and really do anything as far as grinding that or power brushing it. But that bronze on the inside might help it. I'm gonna see if I can find a bolt to put in this thing, because a bolt was missing. This bolt's on through a threaded hole right here. I got it up out of my way right now, but the bolt that goes in that hole right there was gone. I'm gonna see if I can find one. We could put that back together. I did find a bolt in the super service truck that was the right size, and got that this piece bolted back on there. There's something I want to tell you that I done here, a little trick you might be able to use at some point. There was some debris, there was stuff in that hole. You know, usually if a hole's left open, or if you welded near it, or lots of reasons, there can be stuff inside that hole. You go to put your bolt in it and it won't go. You know, you got a problem. Generally, you'd run a tap in it. I looked in the truck. The one tap I'm missing is the 3/8/16 that you would need to do that. And I don't have one right now. Well, the next thing I realized was that the bolt that I had is a little bit longer than I needed. So what I did is something I've done a lot of times, is I made a tap out of a bolt. I took my grinder and I cut 3 places into the end of that bolt where the threads got removed, and it left exposed a part of a thread that works just like a tap, so that when you screw it in there and you hit debris or something that's not shaped right, you have the thread coming around with a gap. There's a place for the debris to go, and the thread comes around and it reshapes the thread. So let me show you what this looks like. It looks just like a tap. I just did it with a bolt by grinding on it. See the end of that bolt? The end of that bolt, I've got 3 spots where I've cut into it with a grinder and made it look like a tap. That bolt would have broke off trying to run it in there if I hadn't done that. But since I'd done that, it cleaned the threads out and went right in. to you from the break room here at MBS Welding. I want to show you the t-shirts we got. The MBS Welding t-shirts got MBS Welding on the front, American flag on the sleeve. Great big MBS Welding here on the back. Helps the channel if you buy a t-shirt. If you're interested in a t-shirt, send Tina an email request. nbswelding@aol.com. Thank you.